our goal is to have this whole library that's available for people to choose what they need at the time that they need it. So as we build out this library of microservices, clients will be able to come on and say, hey, listen, I'm doing a project. What do you got? Right? So what do you got in the library? What do you got in the catalog? So right now we're building out, for example, we'll billing services at some point standalone, or it can be combined with an existing environment. We are building out our policy administration transactions. We're actually calling it transactional services, but the difference with us is that you can buy an individual transaction from the catalog. So if I only need renewal services, you could buy a renewal services microservice versus having to buy all of admin, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, the catalog is just the building out of all of these microservices. And I think that over time, as we get more granular, some of our existing microservices might be split into halves, right? It could be like an amoeba, right? It kind of splits, because we'll find out that there's something in there that could be called out and used as a microservice. So the whole goal is to have this whole catalog that will basically be available to people who have projects. That's the idea there. We also provide a solution called bordereau management. So basically, carriers today take in a lot of bordereau files from their MGAs and MGUs, and they are manually, fixing them and getting them into their back-end systems. And it's a back and forth between the MGAs and the carrier. And also there's a lot of errors that take place because it is manual. And so we took our microservices and combined those and created a no-code bordereau management solution where people can go in to find their contracts. The system will consume the data, it'll cleanse it, log it, you can change it, you can expose it to the MGA to make the changes. And ultimately what it does is it maps it to a back-end system and pushes it back into their either policy system or their ODS. Also has a nice little analytics tool. So we put that together as well in the process because we knew that was a very underserved marketplace. Carriers are beginning to change a little as well. So carriers who have a business model where they're working with MGAs, for example, and maybe they don't process business themselves, right? Maybe there's just it's a distribution, MGAs, reinsurers, TPAs. Bordereau management can sit in the middle as the complete system. No policy admin, no doc generation. The MGAs are doing all the work. They're sending the data up. The data is going out to the reinsurers, right? Here comes a claim. Third-party administrator deals with that. They can get the data through the bordereau management solution, and then they can send data back. Imagine that, a whole carrier that doesn't have to even have a policy administration solution. Another good use case is, we talked a little bit about, point of sale, which is, very typical, I think, point of sale. People like to have that. But the nice use case that we talk about is the fact that you don't always have to take all the pieces. So if you have the rating engine or you have the doc gen and you just need this piece or pieces, we would connect all those pieces together, right? Another good example. Oh, the broker portal, my gosh. So, disparate back-end systems, single user experience for a broker. Imagine that, right? Coming on, not knowing there's multiple back-end systems that are chugging along to get the information. I think that's a really good use case. And then the last use case, which I think is evolving, is this headless agency gateway. So we have all these agents going to portals, and while I think the portals will be around for a while, ultimately, if the agents can work with carriers just on data transfer, imagine having a gateway that picks up that data, sends it through a bunch of rules to determine if it's good, if the data is complete, right? If it should be rated or not, if it doesn't meet the box. It continues on, gets a rate, sends the quote back and data, and then the agent has what they need on their side. So that data transfer could go to multiple carriers, right? Versus having to go into individual portals. And so people have been talking about this, I think, for a long time, but I'm actually beginning to see it that some carriers looking into doing that with some agents, which is great. So those kind of use cases, all microservices.